What's up, everybody, and welcome back to their 5-9 Gaming Weekly Wrap. Guys, Lethal One up here, and we have quite a weekly wrap episode for you guys today. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, go check out the channel because we dropped not only just a bunch of banger videos, we also finally are dropping our podcast episodes. So please go ahead and watch the podcast episodes and make sure you give us some suggestions for a title for our podcast. I think we still need one of those. So do me a favor. I think a new one should be dropping either after this, before this. Go ahead and support that. I'd appreciate that a lot. But guys, we are doing a weekly wrap, and I got 6 pieces of news to talk about. There's some real hype ones that I really want to get across, so definitely want to get into that. And before we do that, though, as always, we talk about the game sales this past week. Some surprise game sales, and I don't even have a few here, but there was definitely one that shocked me, and I was like, please, this has to be one that is purchased. So let's go ahead and jump into that right here. Shin Megami Tensei 5, the Steelbook Edition, is $36.99 via GameStop, and as for Nintendo Switch and the Steelbook Edition, I just bought that. Like, that game just dropped like not even a month ago. That's how freaking crazy the sale for already for this game, and I don't think the game is selling that bad. If anything, regardless, you need to go get it for that price because that is such a good price for a game that is. I put in probably like 80 hours of that, 80 hours into that game where I finally finished it, and I could put in more, and I want to put in more. Like it's such a good RPG game. In fact, it's become one of my favorite RPGs, not of just this year, I think of all time. That's how much I actually really love this game. And as someone who jumped into Persona 5 and just jumping into Persona for the first time, absolutely love Persona 5. And someone who wanted to jump to Shin Megami Tensei because I never had before, and jumping into this one, I'm so glad I did. And so if you're someone who's like, you never played a Shin Megami Tensei game, probably be the perfect one to go ahead and jump into. You're gonna absolutely love it. I freaking loved it, and for $36.99, that is a steal. So go ahead, and that's free at GameStop, so go ahead and check that out if you can. The Dark Pictures House of Ashes, and that's pretty new. PS4, PS5, and Xbox and Series X, Xbox One and Series X. That's $19.99 via GameStop. Yakuza Like a Dragon was pretty popular. That is PS5, PS4, Series X, and Xbox One. Also $19.99 via GameStop. GameStop, I gotta say, let me give it two claps. This is more than 2 claps, like 5 claps to GameStop, because I feel like they were the MVPs this past holiday winter season so far, because they've just been killing it. These prices and just the sales that they've been having lately. Shout out to GameStop, man. It's good to see them come back. So go ahead, check out, literally just check out GameStop because they have tons and tons of great deals. But that Shin Megami Tensei 5 one, that is a banger one. Don't sleep on that one. All right, now I have 6 pieces of news to talk about. So let's go ahead and jump into the very first one that I'm honestly personally just super excited for, and that is PlayStation is introducing a new Game Pass competitor subscription model. This is coming from Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg. But essentially, Sony PlayStation division is planning a new subscription service to compete with rival Microsoft's popular Xbox Game Pass. The service is codenamed Spartacus, which is a pretty badass name if you ask me. Will allow PlayStation owners to pay a monthly fee for access to a catalog of modern and classic games in a 3-tier subscription model. The service will be available on both the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, which is pretty cool, and expected to launch in spring of 2022, which it's not that far, which means an actual announcement should be super imminent. Maybe not till 2022, but I mean, if that's the case, we should be getting something really soon. It's spring 2022, and then the service will merge Sony's 2 existing subscription plans, which is PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now, finally coming together in a package that I honestly think everybody, if you're a PlayStation Plus user, you've seen PlayStation Now and you've wanted to dabble in it, and it's just sometimes it's like it's not really worth it. The fact that they're going to be doing this whole new thing, if this is going to be a thing where they have to wait for people to kind of adopt into it, right at the jump, definitely adopt into it. Definitely give it a shot. But let me get a little bit more here. The 3 tiers are as follows. So again, 3 tiers. The first would include the existing PlayStation Plus benefits. I think the first tier is probably just keeping your PlayStation Plus. You don't want to even dabble into all that stuff. That's what I'm thinking. Now, I don't think the PlayStation Now really comes in with that first tier. I imagine it's going to go into maybe a mix of tier 2 and tier 3, because tier 1, again, just sounds like it's just your regular PlayStation Plus benefits. The second would offer a large catalog of PlayStation 4 and eventually PlayStation 5 games, which is pretty cool to see that we will at some point see PlayStation 5 games coming at some point into the subscription, which is nice. They kind of already do that now with PlayStation Plus already, so it's not like it's something that's kind of brand new. But it would be pretty cool to see them, after a while, maybe after since a year since Returnal launch, they go ahead and they add this game over to the subscription. That's a great way for people to go ahead and finally play something like Returnal, which I know didn't sell as well. But again, it was just, it was critically acclaimed by a lot of people and people loved it. And so again, I like that idea. Now that's tier 2. Tier 3 would add extended demos, which I'm curious what that means, game streaming, and a library of classic PS1, PS2, PS3, and PSP games. Apparently, including PSP, including PS Vita. So that's pretty exciting. Again, keep in mind, day-and-date releases for PlayStation Studios titles will not happen, and that's being said by a bunch of people. So that kind of makes the most sense. I wouldn't be surprised if PlayStation's not dropping like how Game Pass drops, their day-and-date first-party games. I don't think PlayStation would do that because PlayStation knows people will buy those games, and I don't blame them. It's totally fine. Sony's also putting resources into expanding its efforts in cloud gaming, which is pretty funny because if you guys watched the podcast episode, we talked about a patent that was floating around that basically looked like a DualShock 4 controller, like a grip that goes on your iPhone or your mobile phone to go ahead and play like mobile games using that grip. Makes sense seeing this, and now it's just like, okay, they're really gonna start pushing hard, into this a mixture of cloud and then this cool subscription model, which finally adds, which I'm hoping this is going to add like so many more games. PlayStation Now, people didn't like it for the exact reason that like it didn't offer a lot of games and people were pissed off about that. And so the option of being able to not only just stream but install was very important too. And so I'm hoping they're able to do much more of that. So, fingers crossed that it's going to be a way better experience than what PlayStation Now is going to be. Again, it's 3 tiers. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. But at least at the tier 2, depending on how much more it is, that sounds pretty convincing, right? You want to have your PlayStation 4 games along with any additional PlayStation 5 games that might be dropping into the service. And if you're someone like me who just wants to have access to everything, right, including those PS1, PS2 games, I want to see my Ape Escape on there. That is a tier 3. It looks great to me, honestly. I have no extra comments besides the fact that I'm really excited. I've been dying for PlayStation to adopt something, that's just like Game Pass, because let's be real, and I've said it multiple times on here, Game Pass is a killer deal. It's probably if it's not the best deal in gaming, it's one of the best deals in gaming. That's how great Game Pass is. And I don't expect PlayStation to drop their first party games. Doesn't really make much sense. But them to, use that subscription to take it much more serious for, their backwards games, right? Their older games, their legacy titles, PS1, PS2, PS3. It was even said by I wish I had the actual person that said it, but I know other industry insiders. Again, this is all rumored, by the way. It's not like 100%, but I mean, Jason Schreier puts it out, right? And he's had people talk about it from actual Sony. It's definitely going to be happening. But I want to say that people have been saying too that the library of PlayStation 1 games that you're going to get at launch apparently is about like 100 games, which is significantly different. And so I'm extremely excited to see what exactly comes with this. But give me your thoughts about this. Are you happy that PlayStation would be coming out with their own Game Pass competitor? Let me know down below in the comment section. Number 2 is a pretty crazy one. It Takes Two received a trademark claim from Take-Two publisher, basically over the name. This comes from Tom Phillips over at Eurogamer. So Take-Two has sent a trademark claim to Hazelight Studios because of It Takes Two. I almost said that wrong. Forcing Hazelight to abandon ownership of the game's name. As of now, there aren't any details yet whether the game will be renamed or how this can impact its sales going forward. Take-Two has had a recent history of issuing trademark claims to names in connection with Rockstar, Social Club, Mafia, Civilization, and more. So clearly they're out here, they're doing annoying stuff by going after a bunch of small things. They're like, oh wait, something's Rockstar? No, we own Rockstar. No, put out a trademark claim. You know what I mean? They're trying to protect their brand, which I totally understand. But this next part kind of is how I feel about it. According to video game industry lawyer Richard Hogue, he pretty much quotes saying this: "If you look at the trial and appeals board, you can see that Take-Two has filed at least an extension request for 25 challenges in the last 3 months. Most other game companies go back 6 or 7 years to get that kind of number. Take-Two is being very, very aggressive." So it's not just like this is something that you do, this is kind of normal practice. It just seems like they're just being extra really extra, for their company, and by going after, something like It Takes Two, which I don't even think a lot of people were even associating It Takes Two with Take Two, the publisher company. I just think I think it's kind of crazy. It kind of feels like it's such greed there on Take Two's part. It's all that corporate stuff, I don't know, but it does have a lot of people thinking like, what will happen with It Takes Two? Are they going to have to rename it? Is that something they need to worry about? I'm not too big into how that stuff works, but I don't think they have to change their name necessarily if it's like a copyright thing. I just think they might lose ownership of it, and that's where the issue kind of goes. And so who knows what they're going to be doing? But it's just kind of a shame that a game that is right now, I think it's contender for Game of the Year. Yeah, it's up there. So again, it's another well-received game. Hazelight has been killing it, and so seeing something like this happen from Take Two to It Takes Two, it's absolutely crap. But give us your thoughts about that down below in the comment section. We can go ahead and jump over to story number 3, and that is Nintendo Switch Online. The expansion pack is adding Paper Mario finally. Again, I'm getting this from Nintendo, the official Nintendo account over on Twitter. The official tweet reads, "Adventure through the Mushroom Kingdom to save Princess Peach from Bowser's clutches as a paper-thin version of Mario. Paper Mario unfolds on Nintendo Switch for Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack members on December 10th. I think this is pretty cool. Paper Mario is a great game. I know I played it. I don't know if I ever finished it, but I know I definitely played the N64 Paper Mario game. So it's definitely one that everybody should play because I know it's probably one of the best ones, if not the best one. People love that Paper Mario game. My thing is, the service launched in October, and we're finally getting a new game added into it in December, which has me thinking, is it going to be about like a 2-month thing before we get more games added into the expansion pack? And more importantly, is it just gonna be one game that we get after like 2 months? That's where I think personally, that's where I get a little upset, because at this point where you're paying for, like I said before, you're getting to that part where you're paying to prices that are very similar to PlayStation and Xbox for their services. And so it's kind of like, if they're out here dropping multiple games a month for free, right, as part of your subscription, Nintendo dropping one game after 2 years, not 2 years, after 2 months, that's where, again, I just started getting like, I want that, I want to be able to pay for that price and feel like it's justifiable. But I don't know, them dropping just one game after 2 months, and if they continue that pattern, then at this point, I don't even know if we'll expect any new games besides the ones that we saw that were coming, right? I'm talking about like Majora's Mask, right? The F-Zero game. There was a Kirby game. So I feel like what they showed there will probably be for the rest of 2022. So I have no idea, but give me your thoughts about that. Again, Paper Mario is pretty hype, so that's pretty exciting. But the idea that potentially it's just going to be, one game every 2 months makes me feel like I shouldn't have bought it. But we'll have to see how that ends up going. Story number 4, which we can move on to, is DC Universe's online devs are apparently going to be working on a new Marvel MMORPG. This is coming from Joseph Abro from Murphy's Multiverse. Pretty much the article reads this: it looks like the company EG7 has revealed it is currently involved in developing a AAA MMORPG that takes place in the Marvel Universe. Dimensional Ink Studios is currently developing the project, with Jack Emmert spearheading the project. He's currently the lead behind DC Universe Online and has also blended his hand in development of City of Heroes, which, if you don't know City of Heroes, back when I was a kid and PC gaming was getting pretty big, City of Heroes was essentially like I feel like one of the very first superhero MMO games. I don't know if it was an MMORPG, it might have been, but it was pretty big at its time. You created your own character, kind of the same thing of what if you play DC Universe online. It's kind of the same premise except not DC. So that was kind of what City of Heroes was. The game can be similar to DC Universe Online, where you can create your own character and they kind of follow the leadership of a Marvel mentor in this case, and you roam around famous Marvel locations with various powers and weapons, probably very similar to what you've seen in the actual, in the Marvel Universe. And then you're pretty much just taking out Marvel villains alongside Marvel heroes. That's pretty much like the premise of what the game would probably be. I think it's pretty exciting. Marvel lately is it's out here just doing God's work, I guess. I don't know. They're dropping games left and right, giving their IP to multiple studios to work on something, right? We have a Wolverine game coming. We have another Spider-Man game coming. And there's Marvel's Avengers still getting updates. Like we're just getting Marvel games left and right. And so I think to see some of the people that were behind DC Universe Online, I don't know if they're gonna stay with DC Universe Online. I don't know. I don't even know. I was surprised to see that DC Universe Online is still kicking. Like, shout out to DC Universe Online. I played that game like crazy back in the day. I'm curious, can you guys let me know down below in the comment section who here has played DC Universe Online? Because I feel like I've played that game since like it dropped back on, I think, PS3 for me personally. But I feel like I played it every like PS3, PS4, and then I played it again back on my PS5 for whatever reason. But it is crazy to see, again, just Marvel getting more games. But I do wonder, you know, what's going to go on with DC Universe Online. At this point, I wanted a DCUO 2, but I don't know if we're going to even get that at this point. But I am excited again for Marvel because they have tons of stuff coming, whether it's the new movies, TV shows, right, upcoming games. It just makes sense if they're going to get a really big, cool MMORPG game, especially one that's like DC Universe Online, because I think I really wanted that. They dropped an MMO game. What was it? Was it called Omega something? I don't know, but it was essentially like an MMO game, but it was more like an Ultimate Alliance game, where you kind of just played as the actual Marvel heroes. But I've always wanted the option to have a game that was like DC Universe Online, but with Marvel, where you create a character, right? You pick the mentor, you know, let it be anybody from the MCU, right? Iron Man or something like that. And then, you know, just they were your mentor and everything. If you play DC Universe Online, you definitely understand the premise of what this game could look like. And so it's pretty exciting. At the same time, if we're ever going to get a DCUO 2, I'm really curious if we will. Now, jumping into Story 5 and Story 6, which are kind of conjoined a little bit here. That is, number 5 is the PlayStation Plus games for December we got. I'm getting this from the PlayStation blog. We're getting Godfall Challenger Edition for PS5 and PS4, which, I'll talk about that one. And then we got Lego DC Supervillains, that's for PS4, and then Mortal Shell for PS4. And as a reminder, the previous 3 PlayStation VR games with PlayStation Plus are available until Monday, January 3rd. And if you forgot what they were, The Persistence, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, and then Until You Fall. Real quick, back to the Godfall Challenger Edition, which created, I would say, a pretty good amount of internet buzz, because a lot of people were excited, including myself, who got extremely excited, only to kind of read more into this. And so essentially, if you're curious, Godfall Challenger Edition, what is the Challenger Edition? I'll read it to you. The Challenger Edition focuses on 3 unique modes: Lightbringer, Dreamstones, and the Ascended Tower of Trials. All 3 are endgame level content. And repeat, endgame level content. But you'll be immediately equipped with the spread of deadly weapons and skill points, letting you team up with up to 2 players in co-op should you choose to, and essentially allowing you to immediately max out your stats and gear. And this does not come with the game's campaign. So essentially, again, you're getting endgame content, which is what? Those 3 modes, apparently: Lightbringer, Dreamstones, and the Ascended Tower of Trials. You're automatically going to be max out level with like the best gear possible, all the best skills you could choose. And that's kind of it. It kind of removes the whole point of it being kind of like a looter RPG game, where you kind of grind up, right, level up your character, get different equipment over time and whatnot, and you don't even get the main campaign. And so I'll be honest, a lot of people have been arguing and saying that like it's actually better that way because the campaign is not good. Apparently, I didn't play this game. I want to play this game, and I've been holding off for like a very good amount of time, hoping that the day that Godfall would actually come to PlayStation Plus. And here it is, but not in the way that I wanted it to come. But there's people who argue and say the campaign sucks, and the best part of this game is the end game content. And so I kind of feel like maybe, maybe they're acknowledging that and saying, let's just give them the end game content because that's where we put the most love into this game. That's where we want people to come back and actually enjoy it. And so it's definitely like, I don't know, I feel like it's like a double-headed sword, right? One way is good, the other way not good either. Like they're both not good, or they're both bad. I don't know. Either way, let me know your thoughts about that. I think my initial reaction was, that sucks. That's stupid. Why would you do that? Just give us the campaign. Even if it sucks, we just want to play it. And I still would want to play that probably over the end game content. But if this is the better content at the end of the day, maybe it's a better decision. I don't know. You guys let me know your thoughts about that down below, because I know it's a kind of all over the place kind of one. And then pretty much ending it with Xbox Games with Gold for December from the Xbox Wire. For people who ever question, why don't you just do Game Pass games? I try to always keep it PlayStation Plus with Xbox Games with Gold, because Xbox Games with Gold is still a thing, right? That's, Game Pass is a whole different kind of animal. Essentially, though, right, if that first one happens, right, codename Spartacus, that new PlayStation subscription model, at some point, then I probably will switch this up and say, you know what, let's drop the PlayStation Plus and then the games with gold, and just do, you know, whatever that service from PlayStation is going to be with Game Pass, and that'll probably be the more. That's obviously a way better comparison of back and forth to see, okay, who has the better month, you know, what looks better, what looks good, or just what's coming out in general. But of course, you always gotta check back at games with gold, at least for now, until all that stuff happens. And in games with gold for December, we have the Escapist 2 that'll be available December 1st to 31st. Tropical 5 Penultimate Edition, that is going to be December 16th to January 15th. Orcs Must Die, which will be December 1st to the 15th. And then Insanely Twisted Shadow Planet, that is December 16th to the 31st. I have no thoughts because I've heard of the Escapist. I never played it, but I think it was a good game. Some of these are pretty old games too. I don't know. Orcs Must Die, Insanely Twisted Shadow Planet, Tropical 5. I don't know. Let's be real. I think Xbox just puts a lot of the money into Game Pass, which they kind of should. I feel like if you're an Xbox like main, you should probably have Game Pass at this point. I don't know if you don't care for it or not, but I think when it comes down to it, the pricing is, if not the same, barely that much more. So it makes sense that they're clearly just putting a lot more of their time and money into Game Pass. But of course, you know, PlayStation got some good ones, but I will be honest, even PlayStation, I'm upset. The Godfall Challenger Edition, I don't know how to feel about that one. So it's like, I can't be like, oh yeah, PlayStation killed it, because the Godfall Challenger Edition, I think it'll be split. Some people are going to hate it, some people are going to love it. But to be fair, they also have Lego DC Supervillains, which I know is a really good game. And then Mortal Show, I've heard about it. I'm going to probably give it a shot. That's another really good game. It's just the Xbox One, I don't even know. I don't know besides the Escapist 2, which again, I feel like I've heard good things. And now we're going to go ahead and end it with the games that released this past week. And that is Solar Ash, that dropped on PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, PC, December 2nd. We had Dauntless, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S on December 2nd. And then Danganronpa Decadence on Switch, December 3rd. And guys, that is it. That is the weekly wrap for this week. Again, I am Lethal One Up, and do me a favor, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. If you're brand new to the channel, I was knocked over my coffee. And go ahead and like this video if you enjoyed it. And don't forget to check out our podcast episodes. They're really important to us. We're really pushing for it, so do us all a favor and go ahead and check those out. And guys, I will catch you on the next one. Thank you for watching. Lethal One out. Peace.